William Battersill and Reg Sutton from KwaZulu-Natal would soon have their hands full with the pack bearing down on them. Brandon Harkis and Carlos Jorge started 57th in the bat and were carving their way through the field. They would later retire when a rear trailing arm broke away from its mounting. Teammates Bevan Bertholdt and Colin Howell started 64th after fuel pump problems in the prologue, but they later crashed at high speed without sustaining any injuries. Api Reineke and Robin Houghton were on a mission after starting 66th in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser. Despite poor visibility, the experienced pair made light work of the slower cruise. Getting lost, and often, was the plight of all teams. Here, the Bertholdts, Woolridge and Dowse mill around trying to locate route markers. On board with De Villiers and Jordan as they headed for early retirement. Terminal suspension damage after contact with a hidden rock put paid to their hopes. Suspension damage also forced Schroeder and Peckham in the Ford Racing Ranger into early retirement. One could be forgiven for asking why Woolridge and Skolthammer were running behind their Class E teammates, but it was all about getting lost and losing any advantage gained. 90 minutes into the race, and surprise leaders John Lambert and Pete Hearnes in the Digidor Race Co. had taken advantage of crews ahead of them getting lost, but were under pressure from the Ford Racing Ranger of Woolridge and Skolthammer. Corbett and Moore were third overall and Class D leaders in the Century Property Developments Isuzu, and had Greg Harvey and Boy Stone close behind in the Lexus V8-powered Jimco. Richard Schilling and Ashley Thorne were well placed in fourth and would later lead briefly before being forced to retire with a broken power steering. Brothers Henry and Maurice Zermatten set a cracking pace in the PlayStation Pajero and lead Class D from Duncan Foss and Mike Griffiths in the second Class D Works Nissan Hardbody. Dowse and Ormerod were close behind and comfortable leaders in Class S. Hein Grobler and Gerard Prinsloo trailed their Nissan teammates Foss and Griffiths by 16 seconds, and they were under constant pressure from Pete Haasbroek and Christo Bosch in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser. 20 minutes into the Baberspan 500, and Reineke and Houghton were in the lead. From 66th place into the lead in only 140 minutes was a phenomenal feat. Harvey and Stone started in 25th place and were now the leading special vehicle. Third overall and leading in Class D were Grobler and Prinsloo in the Nissan Hardbody, closely followed by teammates Foss and Griffiths and a gaggle of cars. Marcus Taylor and Mark Deschalane were the new Class B leaders, closely followed by another Class B contender, Rob Gurney in the JRE. Haasbroek and Bosch were well placed in the Land Cruiser and could be counted on for a strong finish. Contact with the Bertholdts early into the race damaged the left front shock absorber on the Makhekenene Jimco. The Class B brigade were well placed with Gavin Gray and Brian Scott 9th overall in the Powerflow Race Co. Corbett and Moore rounded out the top 10 in the Isuzu, with Woolridge and Skolthammer slowed by overheating problems on the Ford Racing Ranger. Kutsia and Oki Fourie led Class E in the Castrol Toyota Condor, but there were problems for Class F leaders Arthur Tapoch and Galo van der Merwe in the Nissan. Weir Smith and George had made up 69 places in the O'Hagan's Kopenhagen Hotel Jimco. Stay with us. Teams anxiously awaited the arrival of their chargers, and the first to arrive were Api Reineke and Robin Houghton in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser. From 66th place into the lead was nothing short of amazing. But their lead was short-lived as the Woolridge Ranger idled by, and into the lead the chase was on. Weir Smith and George arrived with a bunch of Class B entries in close pursuit. Their performance was also amazing. 83rd to 1st in one lap in the BMW-powered O'Hagan's Kopenhagen Hotel Jimco. Voss and Griffiths passed through without refueling, a strategic move that handed the Nissan team the Class D lead. Pit crew attended to Class B contender Rob Gurney as the Zermatten brothers headed for the pit exit in the PlayStation Pajero.
How's the route going?
Yeah, very badly marked in the one section, but we're going great guns. Cars mint.
The fan belt and battery problem on the Hannes Grobler Nissan persisted, and he would eventually be forced into retirement. But not so Reineke and Houghton, who was still leading in the Toyota. The route marking on lap 2 improved dramatically, and the top 10 running order hardly changed. Neil Woolridge and Kenny Skoltheimer were still nursing the overheating Ford Racing Ranger, and a broken power steering would later slow them even more. Henry and Maurice Zermatten had moved up to 3rd overall, but were involved in a titanic battle with Duncan Voss and Pete Haasbroek for Class D honours. Special vehicle leaders John Weir-Smith and Tony George had the race firmly in their grasp, but a puncture on the second lap would cost them dearly. Former Bankfin touring car driver Voss and Griffiths were having their best run ever in the Works Class D Nissan hardbody. Rob Gurney had Class B under control and was 6th overall in the John Rowe designed JRE. Veteran Kasi Kutsia and co-driver Orki Fourie was 7th overall and Class E leaders in the Castrol Toyota Condor, but had Machechanene and Andre in the Jimco breathing down their necks. 9th placed Mark Corbett and one more were still charging hard in the Class D Century Property Developments Isuzu. And Jaap de Bruin rounded out the top 10 in the recently acquired ex-Chris Birkin Class E Toyota Hilux, but were being hunted down by Greg Dowse and Trevor Omerod in the Class S leading Nashua Mobile Raceco. Frit Mulder and brother-in-law Willie Jordan in the V8-powered Jojo Tank Chevrolet grabbed the Class F lead after the service point. The finish of the Baberspan 500, and much anxiety as spectators and service crew awaited the arrival of race winners R.P. Reineke and Robin Houghton in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser. Victory eluded the team throughout the 2001 season, but this well-deserved win got their Bankfin Off-Road Championship campaign off to a wonderful start. Reineke has won the Baberspan 500 6 times before, and co-driver Houghton had only one win in 1996, but this victory and their charge from 66th place will be remembered for years to come. The winner's cap for a young fan. Concerned Ford Racing Pit crew awaited the arrival of Neil Woolridge and Kenny Skoltheimer, who had nursed the overheating Ford Racing Ranger throughout the event.
They carried on, because I said, no, you need 2 minutes. The power steering was miffed us.
Pete Haasbroek and Christo Bosch stormed through from the back of the Class D field to finish 3rd overall and 1st in Class D in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser, with Henry and Maurice Zermatten only seconds behind in the PlayStation Pajero. A good start to the season for the Tusker Farmers. Quad racer Vickers van Deventer had a good time. A fine performance from the Zermatten brothers was rewarded with 4th overall in the production vehicle category and 2nd in Class D.
Today's race was just about who got lost the least. That's all it was. There we go.
Ons het goed gery. Ons het die eerste ronde was ons 4de vir 'n baie lang tyd. En toe het ons so 20 km hier vanaf van die water gehad. Het ons daar het hy gevrek en toe is die battery dood. Daar het ek so 10 meter gewag toe 'n Land Rover ons uit aan die brand gesleep. Pits toe gekom en toe ons 'n nuwe battery sit af. Toe ons 9 in ons klas. En ek wen tweede ronde het goed.
A debut win in Class E for the Castrol Toyota Condor of Kasi Kutsia and Orki Fourie, and 3 class wins for the Castrol Toyota team.
from the start of it, I said I'll be happy if I got a second or third spot. We're looking for the championship points at the end of the year, and we're quite surprised actually coming in with first in Class E, and it was a tough event.
Despite a broken front shock absorber, Magaghenene and Andre persevered right to the finish, but almost threw away their lead when they wrong slotted within sight of the finish. A debut win as a driver for Atang Magaghenene and as co-driver for rookie Paul Andre in the Sam Racing Gymco. John Weir-Smith and Tony George blew their chances after a close encounter with a tree, and the resulting puncture cost them valuable time. This wrong slot didn't help their cause either. The O'Hagan's Kopenhagen Hotel Gymco performed faultlessly throughout the race.
Yeah, you can drive. It's good. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it. But given the circumstances, I think John also drove very well. It's the beginning of the season. There's 7 more races to go. We need to see each other every race, like in this position. Thanks.
It's going to be a tough championship.
Greg Dowse and Trevor Ormerod powered their Nashua Mobile Raceco to 3rd overall in the special vehicle category and won the new Class S.
Very happy to be winner and 3rd overall, which is good for the points. It's a nice way to start the season and a nice way to start Class S.
Gavin Gray and Brian Scott won Class B in the Powerflow Raceco and finished 4th overall in the special vehicle category.
The competition is very, very fierce in Class B. Last year we had there was just a couple of us running, and this year we've seen a large contingent from Natal come up, and we've seen a lot of cars change hands, and it looks like it's going to be a force to be reckoned with for 2002.
Frik Mulder and Billy Jordan were the inaugural winners of Class F for unlimited 2-wheel drive trucks.
Previously, I had to compete against the 4-wheel drives in the T class, and that's not always nice competing in a 2-wheel drive against the 4-wheel drives. And I think there's quite a few cars out there that can enter in this new class now, which would be to the benefit of off-road racing as a whole.
The top 10 production vehicles, a long overdue win for Reineke and Houghton, and 3 class wins for the Castrol Toyota team.
It was my lucky day, and we had a quite clean run today. No problems on the car. We had a couple of wrong slots, and that was that. But we were leading before halfway through the race, and we kept our lead all the way, and everything just went well for us today.
The top 10 special vehicles, a debut win for Magaghenene and Andre, and 2 Class S and 4 Class B cars in the top 10.
And I'm very pleased with myself, my crew, my mechanic, everybody else who's here with us, my navigator here, and my son who came for the first race with us. I think it's a blessing that he came.
Thank you. It's our first time out, my first time ever in a racing car, first time as navigator. Magnificent. The tongue drove impeccable. If we hadn't had our problems, I think we would have come in first overall. Fantastic day. Thanks to the organisers. Great. Thank you.